Hey, what's up everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the Tszyu versus Fundora breakdown video, as Tszyu will attempt to unify belts and become the unified WBO and WBC super welterweight champ at 154 when he battles former interim champion Sebastian Fundora, as they will headline the Amazon Prime pay-per-view card that takes place on March 30th. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel, I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So, the breakdown videos. If you do not know anything about them, I discuss the fight, what it means. Then I get into each fighter individually and ask the same questions across the board. And then at the end, I do, two final things. Is it better for boxing if one of the other wins? And then I give my prediction on the fight. Fight like this, you got to go with the favorite and the underdog. The favorite coming into this fight is Tszyu. He's the A side. Sebastian Fundora is the B side. So let's discuss this fight now. I'm super excited about this fight. I'm actually happy Keith Thurman got injured in training, because I was pissed that Tszyu was fighting a guy like Thurman. Not pissed, I just felt like he could do better than Thurman. Even though Thurman's got a good name, he hasn't fought hardly at all in the last 5 years, and it's just been disappointing, the inactivity. Then he's going to move up. Then the WBO wouldn't sanction him as a contender, a top 15 contender. So they were going to meet at a catchweight of 155, so Tszyu's title wouldn't be on the line. I got a little happier when the WBO said that if Tszyu lost, he would be stripped of his belt, so I was happy about that, but it still didn't do it for me. Once this fight was announced that Sebastian Fundora was stepping into the fight, and also now that we know that 2 of the 4 belts are going to be on the line, because the vacant WBC title that Fundora was going to fight Sergey Boyachuk for, now that we know that those belts are both on the line, this just makes it a very intriguing matchup. And, going in, of course, you look at the height and reach advantage for Fundora, but he's coming off that brutal knockout loss, to Brian Mendoza. He hasn't fought since then. Tszyu beat Brian Mendoza after. So a lot of things going in that say that Tszyu should be the favorite, but Sebastian Fundora, can he win this fight? And I just think it's close to a 50-50 fight. It's a very intriguing battle, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm probably going to order the card for sure now. So an exciting bout at 154 to determine the true top dog at 154. So we start with, let's start with the A side, the favorite, Tszyu, and take a look at him coming into this fight. Tszyu's hot. He's rolling. He is coming out. His last 3 fights date back to March of last year, where he scored the biggest win of his career, in my opinion, a dominating 9th round TKO victory over Tony Harrison to win the vacant WBO interim title at 154, as he was waiting around for Jamel Charlo. He continued to wait around for that mandatory shot in June and took on former world title challenger Carlos Ocampo and dominated Ocampo with a first round knockout victory. And then he returned in October after being upgraded to champion after Charlo was stripped of the belt. He returned and made the first defense against the Sebastian Fundora killer, Brian Mendoza. And it was kind of a workman-like performance, in my opinion, out of Tszyu. He didn't take a ton of risk, but he did enough, to win the fight. I'm convinced that he won. I'm not arguing anything like that. Just wasn't an overly impressive performance, in my opinion, but he got the win, and it was convincing. But it was somewhat close, but he got the win. So he's hot. He's coming off his 3 best wins, or his best calendar year in his last 3 fights. He's rolling, and I think he's coming into this fight pumped up and wants to really make a statement that he's the #1 guy in the division. What does he need to do to win this fight? Well, he needs to negate the height and reach. And Sebastian Fundora is going to help him do that, because the way Fundora fights, he's right there to be hit. He just is. He stays in the pocket, doesn't really use his height and reach all that much. But I think Tszyu just needs to hit the body and work his way up. He will be able to catch Fundora, and I think he needs to take Fundora into the deep rounds. He needs to be in great shape. I think he needs to take him into the deep waters and try to drown him. That's his key to victory, in my opinion. But also try to land something big early. Take some risk. Tszyu's got a good chin. Fundora might be able to hurt him, but he's not a big-time one-punch powered guy. But if Fundora catches him with those uppercuts, because he's so tall, you know, Tszyu might have to worry. Remember, he did get put down in the first round against Terrell Gaucher on a perfectly timed counterpunch. So Tszyu does need to be careful in this fight, but and not just bum rush him. But I think if he can really hurt the body to Fundora, Fundora will not last as long. Can Tszyu win this fight by knockout? I think he can. I think Tszyu's got the power to catch Fundora and hurt him. And I think he also has the ability to break down Fundora and stop him in the late rounds. So yes, I do think he can win this fight by knockout. Can Tszyu win this fight by a decision? I'm not sure. Tszyu, the style of fight that he has, he can beat a guy like Brian Mendoza by a decision, but I honestly think if this goes to the scorecards, it's going to be very, very close if Tszyu wins, or he's going to lose, in my opinion. So I'm not sure he can win a decision against Sebastian Fundora. I'm going to be straight. What does a win mean for Tszyu? It means everything. It'll probably be the biggest win of his career, especially if it's impressive, convincing, because he'll lock up 2 of the belts, and he'll have half of the belts in the division just will be his, and he'll be good to go for, the bigger fights. Plus, we just heard Terrence Crawford filed for super status to where he wants the winner of this fight. So that is also intriguing and makes things even more interesting right there. What does a loss mean for Tszyu? A loss is going to hurt. Be the first loss of his career. Would I be surprised if he loses? Absolutely not. Sebastian Fundora is the real deal. But it would hurt because we know what's his name is around the corner. Terrence Crawford, and big fights are just waiting right there for Tszyu. So a loss really would hurt, especially when he's the favorite going in. Now we switch over to the challenger coming into this fight, the former interim champion Sebastian Fundora. His last 3 fights date back to April of 2022. That one was against Erickson Lubin when he fought for the WBC interim title and scored, in the fight of the year, and what I had as the fight of the year, scored an impressive 9th round TKO to become the interim champion, and just an absolute fucking brutal fight. It really was. So, that was a good one right there. But, so that is, that's what he did. And then he followed that up with kind of a lackluster, workmanlike performance against Carlos Ocampo. Wasn't a great overall performance. And, but he outworked him and got a convincing decision. And then in his last fight, as we know, he was dominating Brian Mendoza 6.5 rounds before he got caught and brutally knocked out in that fight. Really not much else to say. Mendoza caught him with just an absolutely explosive punch. I've been saying for years, since I first watched Fundora fight, that he's due to get knocked out like this because of the way he fights. But on the flip side, he almost has to fight this way, because if he stood back and just boxed, he'd run into more guys not wanting to ever fight him. So I just think it's kind of detrimental to change up his style for him. But maybe he should box a little bit more. Now, that rolls into, he's coming off of the first loss of his career, and it was a brutal knockout loss. He's not hot right now. How's he going to be rolling into this fight? Is his confidence going to be there? Once he gets hit, is he going to fold? We're going to see. It's going to be interesting. Now, can Fundora win this fight by knockout? You know what? I think he can. I think he can overwhelm Tszyu. I think he could catch him with something big. If it's a perfectly timed shot. We have seen Tszyu get hurt before. So yeah, I think he can win by knockout. Do I think he can win by decision? Absolutely. I think if he stands back and boxes, he can eat up Tszyu, to be honest. Stylistically, I think it's a bad matchup for Tszyu. I do. But it's not just all about styles and all that stuff, so we'll see. And then, what does a win mean for Sebastian Fundora? A win means everything. It almost erases the loss to Mendoza, even though I still think he should fight Mendoza again, to leave no doubt. But it almost erases that loss. He becomes a top dog in the division, you know, and he'll have 2 of the 4 belts, and everybody's got to go through him. And then you got Terrence Crawford sitting there, a potential Terrence Crawford fight. It would be huge for Fundora. What does a loss mean? Depends on how he loses. He's coming in on short notice. He's the underdog. If he loses, I don't think a lot of people are going to be surprised. But again, it depends on how he loses. So now the final 2 things. Is it better for boxing if Tszyu wins this fight or Sebastian Fundora? And to be honest, it's better for boxing if Tszyu wins this fight. Tszyu's got that more attractive style. There's not going to be a lot of people that want to see a guy of Fundora's size fight guys like Terrence Crawford and stuff. Even though they'll watch it, it's just Tszyu's more attractive. He's carrying the name of his dad, and that makes him a big time name as well. Makes him a bigger name as well. So more people want to see it's better for boxing if Tszyu wins, but it wouldn't be bad if Fundora wins. And now finally, my prediction on this fight. Who do I think is going to win this fight between Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora and become the unified super welterweight champ? It's tough. I'm looking at a couple things. Personally, I think Sebastian Fundora can absolutely win this fight. No doubt. I think he might be winning at the time of a potential stoppage. But it's just not going to be easy because Tszyu has the ability to hurt the body. He has the ability to hit the head. And I honestly think Sebastian Fundora has been kind of exposed. He is there to be hit. He will stay in the pocket and you can hit him. You just have to kind of take a lot of shots before you can get to him. But once you hurt him, he could fold. He is the definition of the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And I don't think he has a glass chin. I just think it's going to be tough for him to not get hit by Tszyu. And I think Tszyu's going to hit him. If I had to make a prediction, and part of the reason is you got to look at styles, and who they have fought. So let's look at their last 2 common opponents with each other. We look at the Carlos Ocampo fight first. Fundora went 12, couldn't knock him out, boxed him, kind of just outworked him. And Tszyu destroyed Ocampo in 1 round. Okay, well, styles make fights. Brian Mendoza, another one, was next. Mendoza was getting worked the entire fight and then caught him with a big-time punch. Well, Mendoza fought, if you really look at it, he fought Tszyu better than he fought Fundora until the knockout. The final score, of course, was a win and a loss to Tszyu, but a win over Fundora, but he was getting his ass whipped before that. So it's hard to judge based on common opponents. But for me, if Fundora would have come back with another fight prior to this, I would give him a better chance because he would have gained that confidence back. It's tough after a brutal knockout loss like that. And then now this fight's on short notice as well. But that could work to the detriment of either fighter. But my final prediction is I think Tszyu is going to win this fight by TKO in the later rounds. But I do believe Fundora is going to be winning the fight. But I also think this fight has a potential to be a fight of the year type fight. I really do. Tszyu is somewhat of a brawler. And he likes to mix it up. He's a big puncher. And Sebastian Fundora also can hit. And he throws a shitload of punches. And the height difference is, I believe it's 8 inches? 5'8.5" versus 6'5.5". I think that's about, 8-9 inches. And then the reach difference is 9.5 inches. So it's intriguing as hell, and I can't wait to see it. So Saturday, March 30th, Amazon Prime pay-per-view, main event, Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora for the unified, to unify the WBO and WBC super welterweight title at 154. And again, the caveat, Terrence Crawford has put in to fight the winner. So we'll see. So that's it. That's what I got. This was the Tszyu versus Fundora breakdown video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.